Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Animal Crossing Every Day. I am the man. Anyway, now that we got that out of the way, we can start the show. Hello, you look lovely. Are those new teeth? Don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. We all get new teeth once in a while. Sometimes you get in a fight with a rhinoceros, and you knock your teeth out. And you gotta get new teeth, right? That's what happened to me. Look at me now, rocking the teeth. You can't really see me, but I got new teeth. This is my long-winded way of saying I got some new teeth. Please be nice. Come to the Wishing Well Plaza on the 22nd of September to watch the events. It'll be a wild time, guaranteed. Okay. What else have we got? What's this? Some crud. Some bullshit. We have a special offer at a stunning bus stop. It's the most stunning bus stop you've ever seen. There's always a wide variety of other items as well. Why not stop by? Lovely invitation there, Thomas Newkington. Lovely stuff. Oh, look at this little Hawaii beach kind of thing. Is it Hawaii? Is Hawaii a place? I don't know. I have been informed that it is. But I've never been. I've never been. Come on. Trying to do the present stuff. You gotta do all this faff before the episode really starts. I really should start the episode first. No, I should do this first and then start the episode. But, you know, it's important. You guys gotta see. I don't want to deceive anybody. You know, they're like, what happened to the fossils? I'm like, I put them in that thing. So now, you know, it keeps everybody right. Keeps me right. Keeps you guys right. Anyway, hello. I don't know how many more times I can say this. 4? 5? I'll do my best. I'll say hello as many times as is necessary to start the show off correctly. Because it's all about you guys. You know, it's all about the people. Speaking of people, as I just was, and what about this for a link? Because I'm the link master. The master of segways. Segway master. I used to ride a Segway. I didn't fall off once. Eat that, George Bush. Eat it. Put it in your mouth. Chew it up and down. Swallow it. Tell everybody that you're a good boy. I mean, that feels unnecessary, but that's what George Bush was like. I don't know how many of you guys remember George Bush. He was always trying to tell people he was a good boy. And you're like, if you want us to believe that you are a good boy, you might want to stop totally destroying Afghanistan. And he said, no dice. Afghanistan dies, I am a good boy. And I'm like, I don't know if those two things, A, go together, B, are related. But he's like, yes, it's true. Look. He held up a little certificate that said, I am a good boy. And who was it signed by? His father. That's true. That's a true story. That really happened, right? Because me and George Bush... see, the thing is, people might not remember. It's hard to tell who's alive back then and who wasn't. Because I was alive back then, as I have been for many a year. And George Bush was quite a well-known figure in the world, but not notorious, I think, is probably the best way to put it. He was well-known, but maybe not necessarily for being a good boy. Which is why I think he went so heavy on the certificate where he was trying to prove that he was a good boy. I think it was a ploy. It was a good boy ploy. It was a ploy to be a good boy, right? It was a good boy ploy to try and get people to like him again because he had a lot of negative press in the newspapers, right? Even more negative press than his father, George Bush. You might be confused about the fact that there were two presidents both called George Bush. One of them was called George Bush, and the other one was called George W. Bush. So if you ever got confused, remember the W. That's how we used to do it. That's how we learned it in school. That's what we used to say was a catchphrase. If you ever get confused, remember the W. But then some people would forget that this is in reference to George Bush, and they're like, what? All I remember is W. I don't know what the fuck's going on here, you know? Tricky time. So, if you weren't around for that, you might not understand this whole George Bush business, but for the most part, I'm talking about George W. Bush. Because he was president whenever I was around. To be fair, I'm a very old man, so there have been many presidents since I was born. But I just don't remember them, you know. Well, for a long time, it used to be there was no real reason to remember the president. They were just kind of there, and they just did their job, and then they shut up and then went home again. Boy, I miss those days where they just did their job and then didn't have to make a big deal about everything. But George W. Bush kind of like bucked that trend because he was in charge whenever a terrible tragedy befell America. Oh, we got to come up with a new thing. Oh, I know, because we're talking about George Bush, right? Get this one. I think this is really good. This is going to be real good, right? Check this out. Look at this. Bush Bandit? Bush Bandy. All right. How do I say now, Bush Bandy? That sounds really good, actually. I really like the Bush Bandy. That came out really good. I think Bush Bandit would have been much funnier. A little bit more vulgar, but still. Bush Bandy. That's really good, actually. I really like that. I'm so smart and clever. Coming up with this. I should get a certificate that says I'm a smart, clever boy. And get my father to sign it and walk around town carrying it. So anyway, basically, a tragedy befell North America. You might not have heard of it. They don't talk about it much. You know, but it's a sticky situation. Basically, somebody hijacked some planes and they drove them into some big buildings. It's a damn shame. And the person in charge was George W. Bush. He was in charge of America, and he was like, "We gotta show terrorists that you can't terrorize America unless you're a white terrorist. In which case, come on in. Here's a gun. But any other kind of terrorist, get out of here. Nobody terrorizes America except for America." So he decided to show the world that he meant business. He also decided to show the world that he knew exactly where the world's oil was kept, and he wanted it to be kept in America. So we thought, all right, we can kill two birds with one stone here. We'll show the world that we mean business, and also we'll take a bunch of oil from people who probably don't know any different. Win-win. I'll go down in history as the best president ever. I'll have erased terrorism, and I'll have supplied America with oil to last us into the next century. That whole thing. Bear in mind, this was just at the turn of the century. They would just turned a new century. This was in 2001. And I think the war started in 2002. But, yeah, it didn't work out so well for old GWB, George Washington Bridge. And he might not go down in history as one of the best presidents ever. He's lucky recently that he's not going to go down as the absolute worst president ever. Somebody else has come along and taken that off him. But he's still not going to... So I think that's why he started walking around with the good boy certificate. Like, I'm a good boy. You know, he really needed to prove it to the world, but also to himself, I think. And then people are like, you going to do something about that war? And he's like, I'm a good boy. You know? And they're like, George, America's having a little bit of trouble here. Can you fix it? And he held up the certificate, pointed at it, and he's like, I'm a good boy. And we're like, okay, that's helpful. George, do you want to try to help the American people right now? He tapped the certificate a lot. He was really like, tap, 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 tap. You know the sound you make whenever you like hit a piece of paper with your finger? He was like, I'm a good boy. And people were like, okay. I mean, that's nice. Are you going to be the president? He's like, I am the president. But not only am I the president. Then he tapped the certificate again. He's like, I'm a good boy. Is this fish real? Look at this. It's huge. And I can't seem to catch it. I don't think this is a real fish. I think this is glitch fish. Glitch fish. Look at it. It's impossible. I caught it. Whoa! Wow! I caught an arapaima. Arapaima. That's amazing. Do you guys see what I did there? Give me that certificate. George Bush, give me that good boy certificate. I earned it. I did a good job. I caught a big fish. Sometimes that was his rationale. He's like, I'm a good boy. Why? I went fishing and caught a fish. You're like, uh-huh. It's like, yeah, I did it. Me, by myself. Nobody helped. And then, like, you see, like, footage of him fishing and his dad's clearly helping him. He's like, nobody helped me cut. Or maybe my dad helped a little bit. But I did. I pulled it in. I turned the little lever on the fish stick. And they're like, you mean the reel? On the fishing rod? And he's like, shut up. Who knows more about fishing than me? People are like, almost any other fisherman. He's like, shut up. I'm George Bush. I'm a good boy. And he taps the piece of paper again. Like, we gotta take that away from him. It's a nuisance is what it is. It's no good. He's being silly. He's being deliberately silly. I don't like it. But, you know, when you're a good boy, you can be silly all you want. Who's gonna stop you? A bad boy? Maybe. Do bad boys stop good boys? This is the question of our ages. Does a bad boy stop a good boy? I don't know the answer to that. And I'm willing to bet that George Bush does not have the answer to that either. Did you know that a lot of romances begin in September? I'll bet you didn't. Really? See, I knew that would get your attention. So you want me to tell you why that is? Yes. You want me to tell you? To tell you the truth, I have no idea. I was hoping you could tell me. If you ever figured it out, be sure to tell me. Oh, bloody mosquito. Bullshit. Did we talk to Mitzi today? Where's Mitzi? Hello, Mitzi. The sun is set. What did you want? Oh no, Mitzi. Why do you always do this, Mitzi? One time, George Bush was in office. And they were doing a big meeting. Very important meeting. And they looked up at George Bush and they were like, are you okay, sir? And he's like, what are you talking about? Everything's normal, right? And they're like, well, you do appear to be wearing a lot of clown makeup. And he's like, well, it's subterfuge. And they're like, what does that mean? And he's like, well, it's simple. Everybody thinks I'm a clown. So I'm going to dress like a clown. And they were like, you want to just like clarify that just a smidge? George Bush, he's like, no. If I say too much, my enemies will figure out what I'm talking about. You have to keep it vague. And then he did like the shifty eyes where he looked left and right a couple of times. And then he went back to signing papers. And everybody kind of looked around at each other and were like, we picked this guy. He's the one. This is the one we picked. Okay. They were like, do you want to use some crayons to color in this little picture? And he said, no, I'm not going to use crayons. Crayons for children. I'm going to use watercolor pencils. They're cool. I'm a cool guy. I'm a good boy. And they're like, uh-huh. That's, well, you're having a busy day. Maybe we'll come back and talk to you tomorrow, George Bush. You know? That's a true story. He paints pictures now, apparently. He's a painter. I've seen some of his paintings. I saw people were like giving him a hard time for his paintings. They're not terrible. For a guy who's like doesn't have a big background in painting and then also like totally destroyed Afghanistan for no reason at all. Not bad. Really not that bad, you know? So you can see there's an artist in everybody. There's always an upside, you know? Even if you're a monster, you can still paint a picture. What a lovely way to end the episode. Very poetic. Lovely. I don't know if there's any fans of George Bush. I don't imagine there is. There used to be. I feel like I got away with it now. I've got enough time has passed where I can make fun of George Bush. Not that people weren't making fun of George Bush at the time, but I'm just saying. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys again in the next episode, which is coming up tomorrow. So I will see you then. Goodbye.